Shalom, Mishpaka. Shalom to the whole house of Yashar'al, to the whole Bayif of Yashar'al on this morning. Boka Tub to you on this morning. Good morning to you, to all 12 tribes worldwide, to the older brother, Yahudah, to the younger brother, Ephraim, to the stranger who is enjoined to us, who is engrafted into us, who has thrown down his or her idols, who has forsaken the lies of his or her fathers, and has come out of the nations, has come out of the swine, has come from amongst dogs, and who has engrafted into a Bayif Yashar'al, whereby now you are no longer a nation, considered a nation, or a Gentile, or a Goyim, or a Goy, but you are in fact considered now a fellow citizen, an adopted son of Yashar'al, and whereby now you are privy to the same covenants, the same inheritance, and same promise that was given to the Yahid, to the only begotten son of Yahuwah, and that is Yashar'al. Shalom, shalom to you on this Yom worldwide, my Mishpaka. Shalom to you. Mishpaka, I want to speak to you just for a few moments again on this Yom about the subject of Donald Trump and him making the declaration that he, the United States, was considering Yerushalayim as the capital of Yashar'al, as the capital of Yashar'al. Ever since I came across this, I had been contemplating on speaking about it. I was going to speak about it a few days ago, but then I decided against it. But I feel as though Yah is compelling me to speak a few words about it. Not my words, his words, to speak a few words about it, so that Zion is not asleep. So that Zion is not asleep. And those who have in fact attached themselves to Zion and who are in fact Zion, so that we're not asleep. So that we are not asleep. So what does it mean, Zion? What does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Donald Trump making the declaration that Yerushalayim is the capital of Yashar'al, commonly called Israel. What does it mean? What does it mean? Now, I'm sure that there is no shortage of prognosticators on YouTube and on the internet and on social media, whatever the means and mechanism may be. I'm sure that there is no shortage of prognosticators and quasi-prophets that are declaring a word with respect to the meaning of this, with respect to the meaning of him declaring that Yerushalayim is the capital of Yashar'al. What I need you to understand, Zion, if you have not already grasped this truth, is that all U.S. presidents, every single one of them, and in fact, all world leaders are related by a single bloodline. They are related by bloodline. They are in fact selected to office. They are not elected. So if you're one who is listening to this video and you are still voting under the impression that your vote counts, it does not. It does not. They are selected. They are selected. All U.S. presidents, all world leaders are related by bloodline. And I believe that that bloodline dates back to Nimrod. That it dates back to Nimrod. And so they are selected. And so they are merely puppets. They are merely puppets on a string doing what they are told to do. Doing what they are directed to do. They have no choice but to follow orders. And they are merely puppets. And Donald Trump is no different. He is no different. He is merely a puppet that has been given the assignment to cause further racial divide and ultimately usher in chaos, the chaos that is to come. And in fact, if you have been following his presidency with any interest, then you will know that chaos and violence has increased under his term. And he's been president for less than a year. For less than a year. And look at all of the incidents that have occurred since he became president with respect to violence and upheaval and chaos. Look at everything that has happened. And this is his job, Zion. This is what he was selected to do. He is the trump card. He is the trump card. He is the one that has been selected to finally usher in chaos across the whole of the YAHUAH'S. Across the whole of the YAHUAH'S. He is the trump card. He is the trump card so that chaos ensues, and so that out of chaos, order will be restored. Hence their motto, order out of chaos. He is the trump card. He is the trump card. Moreover, if you've been following his presidency with discerning eyes and a discerning nefesh and a discerning ruach, then you can clearly see the act. You can clearly see that he's an actor and that his whole administration is an act. It's almost as though if you are awake, you are sitting and watching through a television screen. You are watching a plan unfold. You are watching a sitcom. It's almost as though you are literally sitting down, sitting in front of a television, watching a sitcom. And if you are discerning, if Yah has given you discernment, then if you feel that way, there's a reason that you feel that way, and that is because it is so. It's an act. It is an act. And it is what I believe, an act to usher in chaos. There are many that are, have the tikva that, okay, the next administration will be better. Again, as I previously mentioned, all administrations are selected. They're not elected, they are selected. Moreover, if you have any discernment, then Yah has given you the discernment to understand that we are in the final season. We are in the final season. And if you believe, as I believe, this administration is going to be the last administration before chaos ensues, before chaos engulfs the YAHUAH'S. Nevertheless, his declaration to make the proclamation that Yerushalayim is the capital of Yashar'al was not done to foster shalom. It was not done to foster shalom. This was done to usher in chaos, Zion. This was done to usher in chaos. This was another strategic move to usher in chaos on the YAHUAH'S. You see, Yerushalayim is currently a divided city with so-called Jews and Palestinians both claiming rights to it. I submit to you that neither have right to it. Neither have right to it. That Yashar'al was, first of all, Yashar'al belongs to Yahuwah. It is his. It is his portion. It is a place that is special to him. It is a place where he has chosen to place his name. And it is a place where he has chosen to give his firstborn son, to give it to his firstborn son, Yashar'al, as an inheritance forever. It is the very same inheritance and promise that he gave our father Abraham, and that he passed down, Abraham passed down to Yishak, and that Yishak passed down to Jacob, and whom Jacob passed down to Ephraim, and whom Ephraim passed down to the Hamashiach himself. And so this land belongs to, first of all, Yahuwah, and Yahuwah has given it to his son, his Yahid, Yashar'al, as an inheritance forever. His son, if you are awake, you understand, is still dispersed and scattered amongst the nations. And so, first of all, it belongs to neither one of them. It belongs to neither. It belongs to Yahuwah, and he has given it to his Yahid, his only begotten son, Yashar'al, forever. But nevertheless, for Donald Trump to declare Yerushalayim as being the capital of Israel, different from Yashar'al, he is essentially siding with the Zionist state, of Yashar'al. And this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. There's already no shortage of nations that have come out condemning this action. The Pope, who is really the Black Pope because he is a Jesuit, and if you have any understanding of this thing, then you understand it is ultimately the Jesuits, the Catholic Circe, that is behind this whole thing to begin with. They are the end goal. That's where everything ends. That's where the pyramid ends. The Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Zionist state, all of occultism, all of the different levels of occultism and Freemasonry, it ultimately begins and ends with the Jesuits. And so this Jesuit Pope, he even came out and condemned the act, and that's just a dog and pony show, because he was the one that commanded it to take place. He's the one that is pulling the strings. He is the very one that is pulling the strings. But nevertheless, this is not going to end well, Zion. This is not going to end well. Already chaos is beginning in that land. Already chaos is beginning. And ultimately, in accordance with Zechariah, war is coming to that land. War is coming to Yerushalayim. Now, I need you to understand, if you're not a student of Scripture, the nations are going to encamp around Yashar'al twice. The nations are going to encamp around Yashar'al prior to the Hamashiach's return. And this is what is Nabah about in Zechariah, or Zechariah. But after the Hamashiach's return and a 1,000-year millennial rest is bestowed upon the Eretz, where his first fruits, where his bride, where his Yahid will be gathered into the land from the four corners of the Eretz, and we, Yashar'al, Prince of Elohim, will reign and rule and rest with our Elohim for 1,000 years. During that 1,000 years, Hashatan, the prince of the Eretz, our chief adversary, is going to be chained and bound for 1,000 years and thrown into the pit. After the 1,000 years are up, he's going to be let loose for a season. And the script declares in Hazum, the 20th or the 21st chapter, somewhere around there, that he is once again going to deceive the nations. And the nations are then once again are going to encamp around Yashar'al. And then they are going to be destroyed once and for all. And then the second resurrection will take place. This is also captured in YAHUAH'S. And I believe the 38th and 39th chapter. This is also captured there. But nevertheless, so Zion, war is coming. World war is coming. We are in that season. World war is coming. In Hazum, the 6th chapter, it declares that a fourth of the world's population is going to die. It's going to perish due to war, due to famine, and due to disease, and due to wild beasts of the YAHUAH'S. And so this is coming, and all of the actions that are taking place right now are being strategically planned and orchestrated in order to usher in this chaos so that out of chaos, a new world order will arise. And so this is no different. This is no different. In fact, this is a very strategic piece to ushering in that time. And so we're in that season, Zion. We are in that season. So this was the purpose. This was the purpose behind him declaring Yerushalayim as being the capital of Yashar'al. Again, it's a divided city. It is a contested city between the Zionist state and the Palestinians. And so there was already conflict over this place. And there is already not a shortage of nations contesting this proclamation, a declaration by Donald Trump. Even the black pope, the first Jesuit pope, Pope Francis, coming out, which again is just a farce. It's just a dog and it's just smoke and mirrors, because he was the one that gave the command. He was the one that gave the command in the first place. Nevertheless, it also, I need you to understand this, it also serves as a deception. It also serves as a deception. And here's what I mean by that. There is no shortage of Christians, and who some may be non-Christians, who are waiting for a third Hekel or Hakal, or what they call temple, to be built. Even though it is unscriptural, there is no shortage of people who are waiting for a third Hakal or temple to be built, even though it is unscriptural. And not only are they waiting for a third Hekel or Hakal to be built, but they believe when it is built that the man of lawlessness is going to be revealed, because he then is going to go into the most set apart place and declare himself to be Elohim. But what I need you to understand is that the man of lawlessness has already been revealed. The abomination of desolation has already occurred. This occurred in the year 70 AD, when the Hekel was made desolate. Desolate means to utterly destroy, to lay waste. It was utterly destroyed and laid waste by the Romans, by the Roman general Pompey, in the year 70 AD. It was made abominable in the year 70 AD, when the Roman legions or Roman soldiers went inside of it, and it went inside of the most set apart place and set up their incense. See, incense worship is not something new, standing on your feet and placing your hand on your heart when the national anthem is played, akin to when the national anthem was played in Babylon, and they were then told to bow down to the image when the national anthem was played. You see, people here do the same thing. It's no different. When the national anthem is played, they stand up and place their hand over their heart. It's image worship. It's incense worship. It's the same thing. But the Roman soldiers, when they entered into the most set apart place, you see, they worshiped incense. They set up their incense in the most set apart place, and they slaughtered to their incense. They slaughtered to their incense when they destroyed the Hekel in 70 AD. Thus, not only was the Hekel made desolate, it was utterly destroyed, laid waste, but it was made abominable. It was made abominable. Many of you who have followed my videos at any length, you understand that there have been 4 beasts. There have been 4 beasts to rule the YAHUAH'S. The first beast was Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. The second beast was Medo-Persia. The third beast was Greece. And the fourth beast that is going to last until the end, that is still ruling, Hence, the Jesuits are the ultimate ruling power upon the Aretz, who is still ruling. This fourth beast is going to last until the end. It's going to last until the end. Thus, when this fourth beast entered the Hekel in 70 AD, it declared itself to be YAHUAH'S. Hence, in 321 AD, this same beast changed the laws and times in accordance with Daniel 7 and outlawed the seventh-day Shabbat in lieu of the day of the sun, and essentially outlawed Torah. So the man of lawlessness has already been revealed in 70 AD and became manifest, if you will, in the year 321 AD when he changed the laws and times. Now, who can change the laws and times of Yah? No one. Not even Yah, can change his Torah, because his Torah is eternal. It is an eternal decree, and not even he can change it. It is written that he is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. His word is eternal. Not even he can change his word. Yet in 321 AD, a mere man, began to change the laws and times of Yahuwah, thus declaring himself to be YAHUAH'S. And so the man of lawlessness has already been revealed. And so if you're waiting on him, he's already been revealed. And if you are keeping the laws and decrees of the Catholic Circe, whether or not you are Catholic or Protestant, whether or not you are Catholic or one of her harlot daughters, then you are still obeying the man of lawlessness right now. Lawlessness meaning without Torah, without law. So if you are not keeping Torah, you are right now obeying the man of lawlessness who was revealed in 70 AD and who became manifest in the year 321 AD. The man of lawlessness is Rome, is the Circe of Rome, is the Pope. He is the Pope of Rome. And this is whom you are serving if you are not obeying Torah. He's already been revealed. So this is a deception to further draw you away from that truth, the truth that you are already serving him, and the truth that he has already been revealed. You are waiting on some third Hekel to be erected, which is not scriptural at all, waiting on it to be erected for a man of lawlessness to be revealed when he's already been revealed. You've been deceived. You have been deceived, and you are already submitting and obeying the man of lawlessness. Now, many of you, you have not taken his mark yet. You have not yet taken his mark. So there is still yet time for you to come out of her, my people. If you heed the word of his servants that are warning you, there is still time to come out of her, my people. Nevertheless, this is another deception to further lead you into blindness and to further lead you into deception. It already took place. Constantine I in the year 21 AD changed the times and laws. Thus the man of lawlessness became made manifest. He was the first Pope of Rome. Thus, the man of lawlessness then became manifest. And so if you are regarding the day of the sun as the Shabbat, and you are in fact observing Thanksgiving in lieu of Sukkot, if you are observing Ishtar in lieu of Passover, if you are observing the birthday of the unconquered sun, the birthday of Nimrod, the birthday of Saturn, commonly called Christmas, in lieu of Sukkot, you're already following him. You're already submitting to the man of lawlessness who was revealed to us in 70 AD when the Romans made the heckle desolate and made it abominable. Thus, the abomination of desolation occurred in 70 AD. It's not something that's going to happen again. It already occurred. And I challenge anyone to show me where in Scripture that a third heckle, a hakal, will be built. I challenge you to show me this. Show it to me without adding conjecture, irrespective of what fortune tellers say or prophets say. True spokesmen of Yahuwah are called Nabi, not fortune tellers or prophets. But I challenge anyone to show me in Scripture where a third heckle, a hakal, is going to be built without adding conjecture. Without adding conjecture. It's not in Scripture. It's not in Scripture. And again, even if it is built, it's merely a deception. It is merely a deception. There was a reason that the heckle was destroyed in 70 AD. First of all, Yahusha nabah that it was going to be destroyed as he was talking to his Talmudim in the 24th chapter of Matif Yahu, when he said not one stone would stand. Not one stone would stand. Why? Because it had fulfilled its purpose. It had fulfilled its purpose. There was no more need for it. Yahusha had come, and at that time he had not been offered, but after his offering, there was no more need for the earthly hakal. There was no more need for it. One of the needs for it was that Yah needed a set-apart place in which to dwell amongst his people. You see, the hakal, or the what is commonly called temple at Yerushalayim, was built to the exact specifications as the hakal in Shamayim, the exact specifications to the slightest measurement. To the slightest measurement, it was built to the exact specifications and then set apart in accordance with his instructions, so that Yahuwah would have a place to dwell in the midst of his people. Otherwise, he could not have dwelled in the midst of our ancestors. He would have consumed them, because light can't dwell with darkness. And even though our ancestors were a people set apart to Yah, no man shall see Yah and live. No man shall see Yah and live, because we were born into sin and shaped in iniquity. And if we see him face to face, we will instantly be consumed. And so he set the heckle apart so that he would have a place to dwell amongst his people. It was also a living, standing edifice to proclaim to the Yerets that Yahuwah dwelled amongst his people, and that he was the Elohim of Yashar'al. And so, thirdly, it served as the place to where, when our ancestors transgressed Torah, because it was indeed the place where he had placed his name, and it was the place where all offerings had to be made, at the door of the heckle. It had to be made. That was the only place in which he instructed our ancestors to provide offerings, was at the heckle in Yerushalayim, at the door of the heckle. And so it was the place provided that when our ancestors transgressed Torah, that it was the place in which after being wrong, or doing a wrong, after being declared wrong, it was the place to where our ancestors could be declared right or righteous after committing a wrong by the blood of bulls, goats, and sheep. It was also the place where the earthly Luim Kihunah presided over, who received the offerings and who mediated between Yah and Yah's people, Yashar'al. And so with the offering of Yahusha, now there is no more need for a earthly heckle. because the animal offerings have been done away with. There is no need for them. There is no need for them. First of all, quite frankly, he didn't want them in the first place. He desired compassion, not offering. He wanted obedience above all else. He wanted us to obey. He didn't want for an innocent animal to have to die for our wickedness. He wanted our obedience above everything else. This is what he wanted. But our ancestors were incapable of giving this type of obedience because the Sinai covenant was given in the foreskin of the flesh. The flesh represents bondage. The flesh represents slavery. The flesh represents sin. The flesh is weak. Thus, the Sinai covenant was rendered weak because of the flesh. The flesh cannot obey Torah, not in Ruach and in truth. It does not want to, neither can it. Thus, we must be born of the Ruach before we can obey the Torah in Ruach and in truth. And so, with his offering, he did away with the hekel. He did away with the Levitical Elohim Kihunah, and he did away with the circumcision of the flesh. He did away with all ceremonial instructions that pertained to the hekel. So there's no more need for it. There's no more need for it. And don't get me wrong, the earthly hekel, the Elohim Kihunah in animal offerings, they were our schoolmaster. It was a schoolmaster to show us how that we were to be made right or righteous with Yah after committing a wrong. It was our schoolmaster, and it pointed toward the Hamashiach. It pointed toward a greater Kihunah in the Shamayim in the order of Melchizedek, and it pointed towards the hekel in Shamayim. It was our schoolmaster to show us how we are to be made right after committing a wrong via the instruction of the ceremonial instruction. It was our schoolmaster. It taught us how. So it hasn't been done away with. It's been moved to the Shamayim, because everything that took place at the hekel, it still takes place, but it now takes place in Shamayim. When we transgress Torah, we still have to go to the door of the hekel, bringing an offering, the offering of the body of Hamashiach, by belief, not by the works of our hands, by belief, with confession. And we still confess to our Kohen Gadol, Yahushua HaMashiach, who then mediates for us, who stands as mediator between himself, because he is Yahuwah, and us. And so everything still takes place. And moreover, with his death, burial, and resurrection and ascension to Shamayim, he now sends back his Ruach to those who are obedient, to those who obey him, to dwell in our hearts, whereby now he circumcises our heart by his Ruach. He writes his Torah on our hearts, whereby now giving us a love for Torah and a willingness to obey Torah, unlike our ancestors, where the sign of the covenant was made in the flesh and it was rendered weak because it was given in the flesh. This covenant, the Brit Kadashah, the renewed covenant, is better because it is not given in the flesh. It is given in the heart, not made with human hands, but by the Ruach, making it better, whereby giving us the willingness and giving us the power to submit and obey to Torah, and obey Torah in Ruach and in truth. So there's no more need for any of that. There's no more need for an earthly hekel, an earthly Luim Kihunah, and animal offerings, and the circumcision of the flesh for adults. It is still required for our children who are 8 days old. This is the script. Read Acts 21. This is the script that is still in place. We're still to circumcise our children when they're 8 days old. Nevertheless, so this is the deception. This is the deception. Even if there is a third heckle, it's a deception to further draw you away from truth, thinking that the man of lawlessness is going to be revealed in the third heckle when he's already been revealed. He has already been revealed in 70 AD and made manifest in 321 AD. So again, all of this is done, Zion, to deceive you, to deceive us, and to usher in chaos, which the trump card was selected to do. Look around you. There's chaos being purposely perpetrated all around us. Look at the California fires. That's not coincidence. That's not an act of nature. They are man-made. They are man-made. Research direct energy weapons. This is a result of man trying to usher in chaos and trying to create refugees, trying to create environmental refugees so that they are forced to go into FEMA camps. These California fires are being purposely perpetrated. Look at all the man-made storms that we had this year. Yes, man-made, geoengineered storms. Why? Once again, to usher in chaos, to create weather warfare, to create refugees as a result of this weather warfare, to cause people to be homeless and cause people to be refugees, to force them to go into FEMA camps. All of this is being purposely perpetrated to usher in chaos, to usher in chaos. This is the purpose. Are you sealed, Zion? Are you sealed? Are you sealed with the set-apart Ruach? Are you sealed with the name of Yahuwah in your conscience, in your forehead, in your nafash? Are you sealed, Zion? Are you ensuring that your garments are clean? Are you ensuring that your garments are spotless? Are you ensuring that you are a pure virgin to our Ash, so that when he gathers us for the wedding feast and brings us into the wedding chamber, that our garments are spotless and they're not stained with the blood of our virginity, indicating that we have been lying with other mighty ones, that we have been giving up the cookies, that we are no longer virgins, that we have other husbands, so that if that happens, there's the expectation that we're going to be taken out and destroyed, because we would have brought shame and evil on our Father's house and an abomination on the land of Yashar'al. You will be destroyed. We're going to be destroyed if we are not virgins, if we're not maintaining our virginity, if our garments are not clean and spotless. We're going to be destroyed. Are you ensuring that your garments are clean, that your garments are spotless? Are you, with every breath that is in you, with the very strength that is in you, working and striving to set yourself apart to the Most High Yah, counting everything else as dung, counting up the cost, being willing to give up all for the sake of the Besora, for the sake of the rain, for the sake of Yahuwah, whether or not that be brother, sister, son, daughter, wife, cousin, friend, whomever it may be, or whatever it may be? Are you counting it as dung? Are you casting down, throwing down your idols? Are you turning aside from the lies that you've received from your fathers? Are you coming out of her and setting yourself apart to Yah, whereby walking in covenant with him, whereby getting on board of the ark of safety, the ark of the covenant, which is our only safety from the time to come? Are you sealed, Zion? Are you setting yourself apart? Are you setting yourself apart? Are you turning from lawlessness back to the Torah of Yahuwah? Because if you're still walking in if you're still walking in contradiction to Torah, then you're still a sinner. Then you're still a sinner. If this applies to you, if this is applicable to you, teshuba, repent. Turn from your lawlessness. Turn from your wickedness back to the Torah of Yahuwah. Be immersed in the true name of Yahusha, not the pagan baptismal, but the true tabulah, the mikvah, tabulah, tabal, meaning to dip. Undergo the mikvah tabulah, which is a dipping, an up and down dipping motion where no hands touch you. No hands touch you. Where when you go underneath the waves and you come up, the Father's hands, Abinu, our Father, his hands are the first hands to touch you. As is tradition amongst our people, that the hands of the Father are the first hands to touch the child when he is born. Thus, undergoing the mikvah, tabalah, no hands touch you when you're immersed in the true name of Yahusha, whereby representing your death, burial, and resurrection, whereby representing that you have now died. You have died with a Hamashiach, because the wages of sin is death. The wages of sin is death. Hamashiach, who came not as YAHUAH'S firstborn son, in the literal sense, but as Yashar'al, his firstborn son, and became Tameh for his firstborn son, as he came as his firstborn son. He became Tameh, ritually unclean for us, and he assumed our uncleanness. He assumed our uncleanness. It is written in Torah that if any man commits an offense against Torah that is worthy of death, then he is to be cursed and then hung upon a tree. Cursed is the man that hangs upon a tree. Thus he took on our uncleanness, even though he had no uncleanness in him. And he took on our sins that were worthy of death, and he was put to death for us. Thus a curse was pronounced on him for us, and he was hung upon a tree. Thus the penalty of Torah, which is death, has been paid through him. Thus, when we are immersed in his name, the penalty is also paid in us because we die with him. Thus, the penalty is paid. Not only is the penalty paid, but when we undergo the mikvah tabalah, all of that filth that we've committed, all of that sin, all of our menstrual cycle, all of our running sores, all of our leprosy, all the times that we have touched dead things or dead bodies, this is washed away. And then we are now allowed to come back into the camp of Yashar'al, who is the Yahid, the only begotten son of Yahuwah, whom the covenants and the promise and the inheritance was given to alone. Be immersed. Undergo the mikvah tabalah in the name of Yahusha, and have your menstrual cycle, your running sores, your leprosy, be cleansed from touching dead things. Die with Hamashiach, whereby having the penalty of death paid for you. And be invited back into the camp and become an adopted son, whereby having privy to the same covenants, the same inheritance, and the same promise that was given to Yashar'al and to Yashar'al alone. Be immersed in the Ruach HaKodesh, because without this, no man, without the immersion of the Ruach HaKodesh, no one shall enter into the reign of Shamayim. No one shall enter into the reign of Shamayim. Because we are dispersed amongst the nations to all four corners of the Eretz, the house of Yashar'al has become mixed with the nations. We have intermingled with the nations. And in accordance with Dabarim 23, the 23rd chapter, the 2nd verse, no mamzer, a bastard, will ever enter into the assembly of Yashar'al. Ever. A bastard is defined as someone who is of mixed birth, of mixed blood, who has either a Yashar'alite father and a heathen mother, or a Yashar'alite mother and a heathen father. This is what a bastard is. And it is read in scripture that no mamzer will ever enter into the reign of Shamayim. And so because now we are all bastards, We must receive, we must be reborn. We must receive the immersion of the Ruach HaKodesh, whereby receiving the Father's DNA, whereby having our bastard DNA negated. Moreover, when we are immersed in the Ruach HaKodesh, he then comes to dwell in our hearts. He then comes to circumcise our hearts, which is the sign of the covenant, which is the sign of the renewed covenant, just like the circumcision of the flesh, the breath, the cut of the flesh was the sign of the eternal covenant, of the Sinai covenant. The breath, the cut of the heart, is the sign of the renewed eternal covenant. It is the sign of the renewed eternal covenant. And just like with the Sinai covenant, if you didn't have the breath of the flesh, that you could not enter the assembly of Yashar'al. If you don't have the breath of the heart, you cannot enter the assembly of Yashar'al. Whereby also he writes his Torah upon our hearts, whereby giving us a love for Torah and a willingness to obey it. And a willingness to obey it in Ruach and in truth. In Ruach and in truth. Without it, without the immersion of the Ruach, you are not his son. You are not his son or his daughter. As in the physical sense, if a child does not contain the parent's DNA, that child does not belong to those parents. In the same way, if we do not have the Father's DNA, if we do not have his Ruach, we do not belong to him. As it is written in Romans, the 8th chapter, through his servant Shaul, it is read that if we do not have the Ruach of Hamashiach, who is Yahuwah, then we do not belong to him. We are not his. We are not his. Walk in the true light of Torah. Because it makes no difference if you've been clean, if you've been immersed, if you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, if you're just going to continue in lawlessness without Torah. It makes no difference. It makes no sense. It's idiotic. It's insanity. And the only expectation that you have if you're going to continue in lawlessness, as through the writer, through the mouth, through the lips of the writer of Ibri, and that if after being made clean, after receiving the offering of Yahusha, if you then remain in sin, there is then, there remains no offering for you. There remains no offering, but only the expectation of destruction. But only the expectation of destruction. Walk in the true light. Torah is light in accordance with Proverbs 6:23. Torah is light. Walk in the light of Torah and have fellowship with Yahuwah and have fellowship with his children. Chaos is coming, Zion. Chaos is coming. Cling to Yahuwah. Cling to the covenant. Come aboard the ark of the covenant, which is our only safety from the pending destruction that is coming upon the Yerushalayim. Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance towards you and gives you shalom. Amen.